Imagine holding in your hand a spice no bigger than your thumbnail. It doesn't look impressive. You've probably seen it in a kitchen jar, maybe floating in a warm cider or pressed into a holiday ham. But what if I told you that inside that tiny, ordinary-looking clove is a natural key that could help restore your energy, improve your circulation, and reignite the intimate vitality that so many men quietly long for after 60? I'm Dr. John P. Mulhall, a urologist, with over 30 years of experience dedicated to men's health. And today, we're going to talk about something both simple and profound, a natural foundation for reclaiming strength, confidence, and zest for life. For many of my patients, it isn't just about erections or performance. It's about waking up in the morning with energy, tackling the day with purpose, and knowing that when evening comes, intimacy and connection with their partner still feel possible, natural, and deeply satisfying. Let me start with this. Declining vitality is not an inevitable sentence of aging. Yet so many men I see come in with their shoulders slumped, voices heavy, convinced they've crossed some invisible line where passion, energy, and strength are permanently lost. They whisper things like, "Doc, I just don't feel like myself anymore," or "I guess this is what getting older means." And every time I lean forward, look them in the eye and tell them it does not have to be this way. Now you might be wondering what's really happening inside your body when your energy dips, when intimacy feels out of reach, or when you just don't have the spark you once did. The truth is, it all comes back to circulation. Blood flow is the lifeblood of vitality. Whether it's fueling your muscles, keeping your brain sharp, or supporting strong erections, circulation is the common denominator. But here's the challenge: as we age, our blood vessels don't work the way they used to. They stiffen, they narrow, and sometimes they clog, just like old rusty pipes. And when that happens, energy declines, motivation falters, and intimacy suffers. Here's where the science gets interesting. At the heart of healthy blood flow is a molecule called nitric oxide. Think of nitric oxide as the green traffic light for your blood vessels. It tells them to relax, to open up, to let blood rush where it needs to go, especially down there. But when the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, the endothelium, gets damaged from years of plaque buildup, poor diet, stress, or inflammation, nitric oxide production drops. Without enough of it, blood vessels stay tense and narrow, and your vitality pays the price. Most men are familiar with the little blue pill. What it does at its core is amplify the effects of nitric oxide. But here's the problem: it's temporary. It doesn't heal the pipes. It just pushes the signal a little louder for a few hours. And for many men, it doesn't address the bigger issue. How do you restore the natural daily function of your blood vessels so your body produces nitric oxide consistently and reliably? That's where natural strategies come in. And one of the most fascinating, overlooked, and powerful is hiding in plain sight in your spice cabinet clove. Yes, the same clove you might sprinkle into cider or use in a holiday recipe. Inside that little spice is a compound called eugenol. And eugenol does something remarkable. It acts as both a powerful antioxidant and a natural vasorelaxant, meaning it helps your blood vessels relax and open. Think of it as a gentle daily nudge that tells your circulation to keep flowing freely. But I want to be very clear. Clove isn't a magic switch you flip once. This isn't an instant fix. The power of clove, like many natural remedies, comes with consistent use over time. It's about creating a foundation, nourishing your blood vessels, and slowly but surely bringing your circulation back to life. So if you've ever wondered whether there's a natural, science-backed way to support your body's own nitric oxide production, protect your blood vessels, and reignite your energy and intimate vitality, today's video is for you. By the end, you'll understand exactly how clove works, how to integrate it safely into your routine, and how men just like you have reclaimed a spark they thought was gone forever. But before we dive in deeper, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you felt truly energized, confident and alive, not just physically, but intimately? Think about that moment. Hold it in your mind. Because by the end of today's conversation, you'll know the first step toward feeling that way again. When I sit with men in their 60s and 70s, one thing always strikes me. Most of them aren't making one massive mistake. Instead, it's usually a handful of small daily habits repeated for years that slowly chip away at their circulation, their strength, and their intimate vitality. Let's go through a few of the most common ones I see, and maybe you'll recognize yourself in one of these patterns. The first mistake is relying too heavily on quick fixes instead of long-term solutions. Maybe it's an energy drink in the afternoon to get through fatigue or a pill to spark intimacy when the moment arises. Don't get me wrong, these might give a temporary boost. But they don't restore your blood vessels. They don't improve nitric oxide production. In fact, over time, stimulants and shortcuts can place extra strain on the heart and blood vessels, making the underlying problem worse. I often tell my patients, you wouldn't keep pouring oil into a rusty engine without fixing the parts, would you? Quick fixes mask the problem, they don't solve it. The second mistake is ignoring subtle warning signs of poor circulation. I can't count how many times a man has told me, "Doc, I just thought I was tired," or "I figured my legs hurt because I'm getting older." But symptoms like cold feet, calf cramps when walking, or slower recovery after exercise are all clues that blood flow is compromised. And when circulation is limited in the legs, it almost always means circulation down there is limited too. The body is one connected system. If blood isn't flowing freely to your toes, it isn't flowing freely to your pelvic region either. Brushing off these small whispers from your body is like ignoring a check engine light. It always leads to bigger problems later. The third mistake is underestimating the impact of diet and inflammation. Many men still eat like they did in their 30s, fast food lunches, processed meats, fried snacks. Over the years, these foods quietly inflame and damage the lining of blood vessels. Remember, your endothelium is where nitric oxide is produced. When it's irritated and inflamed, nitric oxide levels plummet and your circulation suffers. According to the Cleveland Clinic, diets high in refined sugars and trans fats accelerate this process, almost guaranteeing trouble with energy and sexual health. What you put on your plate every day is either fueling your circulation or slowly clogging it. And finally, perhaps the most overlooked mistake, accepting decline as just aging. This one breaks my heart the most. A man will come into my office and shrug, "Doc, it is what it is. I guess this is just the price of turning 65, but that mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The truth is, plenty of men maintain robust energy, intimacy, and strength well into their 70s and 80s, not because they're lucky, but because they've made deliberate choices to protect their blood vessels, their hormones, and their overall vitality. Believing that nothing can change stops you from taking the small daily actions, like using a simple spice, such as clove, that actually can turn things around. Now here's where I want to pause and plant a seed of curiosity. If you've recognized yourself in any of these mistakes, relying on quick fixes, ignoring circulation clues, eating the wrong foods, or resigning yourself to decline, then today's conversation could be the turning point. Because in just a moment, I'm going to show you how clove, this tiny, overlooked spice, directly addresses those very issues. It's natural, it's accessible, and it works by supporting your blood vessels from the inside out. But before we get to that, Let me ask you something. Which of these mistakes do you see yourself making most often? Is it diet, ignoring the signs, or reaching for quick fixes? Share it in the comments. It not only helps you reflect, it helps other men realize they're not alone. So now that we've uncovered the mistakes that quietly chip away at circulation and energy, let's talk about the real solutions, the things you can start doing today to rebuild your strength and intimate vitality. And at the center of this plan is something so simple, so accessible, it almost feels too easy: clove. Clove works because of its active compound eugenol, which functions as both an antioxidant and a natural vasorelaxant. In plain English, that means it protects your blood vessels from damage while also encouraging them to relax and open up, letting blood flow more freely. Think of it like gently polishing those rusty pipes from the inside, while also widening them just enough to let life-giving circulation pass through without resistance. The beauty of clove is in its flexibility. You don't need exotic recipes or complicated supplements. You can integrate it right into your morning routine. Here are 4 simple methods I recommend to my patients. Chewing whole cloves. 1 to 2 whole cloves chewed first thing in the morning. Yes, the flavor is strong and pungent, but the direct release of eugenol makes it a powerful habit. Using ground clove. Sprinkle about 1/4 to half a teaspoon into your coffee, tea, or oatmeal. It adds a warm, spicy note and becomes a daily part of breakfast. Brewing clove tea. Drop 2 or 3 whole cloves into hot water, let them steep for 10 minutes, and enjoy as a calming, aromatic tea. Diluted clove oil. For those comfortable with essential oils, a single drop of food-grade clove oil, highly diluted in water, can be used. But this one requires caution because clove oil is potent. Now, consistency is the magic ingredient here. 1 day of clove won't change your life, but daily intake over weeks and months provides your body with a steady supply of compounds that protect, relax, and strengthen your vascular system. I like to tell my patients it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Just as plaque and stiffness built up slowly over decades, renewal takes time, but every day you choose clove, you're moving in the right direction. But let's be honest, clove alone isn't enough. It's like putting premium fuel into your car, you still need to maintain the engine. And that's where lifestyle choices come in, working hand in hand with this spice to deliver maximum results. Start with sleep. Your body produces critical hormones and repairs vascular tissue while you rest. Men who consistently get 7 to 9 hours of deep restorative sleep have better testosterone levels, sharper minds, and stronger intimate performance. Next, movement. You don't need a gym membership to protect your circulation. Simple activities like walking briskly, climbing stairs, or light resistance training with dumbbells boost nitric oxide production and improve vascular flexibility. Think of exercise as daily oiling of the pipes. Then, nutrition. Clove is a powerful piece of the puzzle, but pairing it with foods rich in natural nitrates like spinach, beets, and arugula creates a synergy that supercharges nitric oxide production. Add berries and nuts for antioxidants and lean proteins to keep muscles strong. And just as important, cut back on the things that inflame your vessels: refined sugar-fried foods and processed meats. Finally, stress management. Chronic stress releases cortisol, a hormone that constricts blood vessels, sabotaging all your hard work. Techniques like deep breathing meditation or simply unplugging from screens before bed can dramatically reduce cortisol and keep your circulation open. Now here's a quick win for you tomorrow morning. Before you even pour your coffee, chew 2 cloves. Then take a 15-minute brisk walk before breakfast. That 1-2 punch, a dose of eugenol and a boost of natural nitric oxide primes your circulation for the day ahead. Do that consistently, and within weeks you'll feel the difference in your energy, your mood, and yes, your intimate vitality. So let me ask you this, which of these simple changes feels most doable for you starting tomorrow? The morning clove, the walk, or the sleep adjustment? Drop your answer in the comments. Your commitment might inspire another man watching this right now. I want to share a story that has stayed with me for years because I believe it captures exactly what many of you may be going through right now. A gentleman I'll call Richard, 68 years old, came into my office one winter morning. He had the look I've seen countless times, a mix of fatigue and quiet resignation. He told me, "Doc, I just don't feel like myself anymore. My energy's gone. My wife and I, well, things just aren't the same. I thought maybe it's just my age, but it's wearing on me." His words trailed off heavy with a sadness he tried to cover with a half smile. Now, Richard wasn't sick. He wasn't bedridden. He still got up, shoveled his driveway, played with his grandkids. But inside, he felt like a shadow of the man he once was. And that's the piece so many men don't talk about, the quiet loss of vitality, the sense that the best days are behind you. When I explained to him how circulation works, how nitric oxide and vessel health play such a central role, his eyes lit up. "You mean it's not just age?" he asked. "You mean I can actually do something about this?" That flicker of hope is something I never forget. I told him about natural strategies, including clove, just a couple each morning, paired with simple lifestyle changes. At first he laughed. "Spice, you're telling me a spice could help me feel like a man again?" But Richard was willing to try. He chewed his cloves each morning, started taking short daily walks, and slowly shifted his meals away from processed food. Nothing drastic, just steady, consistent steps. When he returned 3 months later, I almost didn't recognize him. His handshake was firmer, his shoulders were squared, and his voice carried a strength I hadn't heard before. "Doc," he said with a grin, "it's like someone turned the lights back on. My energy's back. My wife, well, let's just say she's noticed too." Richard's story isn't about cloves alone. It's about believing that your body can still respond, that change is possible, and that age doesn't define your vitality. The spice was the spark, but his consistency, that's what fanned the flame. Let me give you an analogy. Think of your circulatory system like an old garden hose. When it's new, water flows strong and steady. But over time, dirt kinks and cracks build up. The water slows, the pressure fades. Now you can still try to force the water through with extra pressure, that's like relying on pills. But eventually, the hose itself needs care. You need to clean it, unkink it, restore its flexibility. That's what clove and the other natural strategies do. They don't just crank the pressure, they restore the hose itself, so water flows freely again. And here's the emotional truth: restoring that flow isn't just about blood. It's about restoring connection with yourself, with your partner, with life. When circulation improves, energy improves. When energy improves, confidence rises. And when confidence returns, intimacy feels natural again. That's the real power of this tiny spice and the habits around it. So if you've ever felt like Richard, tired, resigned, unsure if the spark will ever come back, remember this: your story doesn't have to end that way. The garden hose can flow again, the lights can come back on, and it often starts with something as small as chewing 2 little cloves each morning. Now I'd love to hear from you. Does Richard's story sound familiar? Have you ever quietly told yourself it's just age? Share your thoughts in the comments. because you're not alone, and seeing others speak up might just give another man the courage to start his journey too. So let's bring this full circle. We started with a simple truth: energy, vitality, and intimacy all hinge on one thing: healthy circulation. When your blood vessels stiffen, when nitric oxide production slows, every part of your life feels it, from your stamina to your mood, to your connection with the person beside you. We talked about the common mistakes men over 60 often make: leaning on quick fixes, ignoring subtle signs of poor blood flow, eating the wrong foods, and worst of all, resigning themselves to decline. But we also uncovered the solution: a natural, accessible spice clove rich in eugenol, with the power to protect your vessels, relax your circulation, and support nitric oxide production. Used consistently, clove becomes more than a kitchen flavoring. It becomes a daily reminder that your health is in your hands. We also discussed how clove isn't magic by itself. It works best when paired with the fundamentals: solid sleep, regular movement, nutrient-dense meals, stress management, and hydration. Together, these form a holistic foundation that restores not just blood flow, but also energy, confidence, and connection. I've seen men like Richard reclaim their spark by taking small, consistent steps. I've watched them walk back into my office with renewed vitality, stronger handshakes, and brighter eyes. And I want that same possibility for you. Because your story isn't over, not by a long shot. You have decades of living, loving, and enjoying life still ahead of you. Don't let age trick you into believing otherwise. So here's my invitation to you tomorrow morning: before the coffee, chew 2 cloves. Commit to it for a week. Pair it with a short walk. Notice how you feel. Then build from there. One choice, one habit, one consistent action at a time. That's how lasting vitality is restored. Now, if this video gave you a spark of hope or taught you something valuable, please hit the like button. It tells us we're making a difference. Subscribe to the Men's Health channel, because every week we share science-backed, actionable advice to keep you strong, confident, and connected well into your golden years. And don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Share this video with a friend, a brother, a neighbor. You never know whose life could change from something as simple as learning about this tiny spice. Finally, I want to hear from you. Have you tried natural approaches like clove or other spices for your health? What worked for you? What questions are still on your mind? Drop your story in the comments. We're building a community of men who support each other in reclaiming strength, energy, and intimacy after 60. I'm Dr. John P. Mulhall, and it's been an honor sharing this time with you. Remember, age is just a number. But the choices you make today decide how vibrant tomorrow will feel. Choose vitality. Choose connection. Choose to live fully.